Hey girl, hey. That's never gonna get old.
Hey girl, hey. It
Hey
is never
girl,
gonna get old.
hey. No,
You're
I was actually,
radiant.
I thank you. You are the coziest of the cozies. As
Thank
your
you.
wife
For
would say,
those who
the gemmiest of
can't,
the gems. Yeah, that's right. For those of you who cannot see
yes.
Nick, why don't you describe the gloriousness that you've enrobed yourself in?
I have this super, super cozy faux fur off-white bomber jacket that
Mm,
is just enveloping me in so much comfort and warmth. And I'm just a little chilly in the house today. It's, I
mm,
think, around 49 or 50, so it's not super cold out, but
mm.
I'm just feeling, how sometimes your house is colder than it is outside. It keeps
Sure.
the cold in. So yeah, I'm nice and cozy in my little corner. I've changed up where I'm sitting for those on the YouTube. I'm in the corner of the dining room now, so in a
Mm.
comfy little swivel chair.
Well, we both live in the Northeast. You live a little bit further down, I guess, on the way toward the mid-Atlantic. Nick's in Connecticut and I'm in Massachusetts. And yeah, we're at that part of the year where you are trying so fucking hard to not turn the heat on. We did have one day when we had a frost the night before, and I think under the auspices of checking the heat and making sure that everything worked, we did turn our thermostats back on. But yeah, we just, what is it, October 23rd? In a perfect world, we won't turn it on until November. So yeah, the house holds the
Wow.
cold.
You don't turn your heat on until November?
Well, not always. I mean, like I said, we did have that one. We had an abnormally early frost here. We're near Concord, Mass, which is about 45 minutes outside of Boston. And we had an abnormally early frost on, I think it was approximately the 10th, so about 2 weeks ago. And and so that next morning we planned to put the heat on, but then it jacked up to 65, 70, and so then we made sure we were turning the heat off because we don't want to be then your house that holds the cold all of a sudden holds the heat and it just feels stuffy, and I'm walking around cracking all the windows and like, well, letting the heat out, so it was actually, this is a little bit of a funny. The night that we were going to have that frost, I had I had plant pots kind of around the house with mums. We had that 50th birthday party for my sister-in-law, Allie, and I had wanted the outside to look pretty. And I hadn't invested much in outdoor decor for the last several years, just trying to be mindful of pennies and whatnot. But this year, knowing that folks were going to come to the house, I just wanted to decorate a little bit. And I didn't pay anybody to do it. I went down to our farm and just picked out some plants and admittedly looked around in other people's carts to see what they were sticking in their carts to see how plants looked, because I always get really nervous about doing my own pots. And so everything was out. And then when they said on the news, oh, we may have a frost, I was like, shit, I don't want to lose all my hard work. It's only October 10th. This stuff has to last until Thanksgiving. Like, it's going to look good. So I read about how to frost proof your pots. And I read that you could take like a sheet or you could take pillowcases and put them over your pots. And Parker was traveling or he wasn't home that night. And I remember texting him saying, if you get in, I might be outside walking around. I'm going to put some pillowcases on the, on the pots.
I'm
And
gonna
I'm thinking, like,
suffocate our
I'm
pots.
going to suffocate our pots. Like, I don't really know how to do this, but, and then the funniest thing, so I did do this and I did find a sheet just an old sheet, and I covered up some things, and everything was okay with the exception of the two plants that I forgot, like the bastard stepchildren that I like left out, and
Right.
just oops, the basil plant didn't make it, and one other plant didn't make it. But what was really funny that tickled me, my girlfriend Katie Kimes Brausch, who you had met a very long time ago out in Las Vegas
Hmm.
when I was living there. Katie had serendipitously visited us a couple weeks before, and she would make fun on occasion of how often I would walk around the house and say, Alexa, please do a thing. Like, And if I say her too loud, she's going to turn all the lights on in my office or turn them off. And so I was texting her that night and I said, we were supposed to talk. And I said, I can't talk. I have to go. I have to go cover. I have to cover my plant pots. And she's probably the funniest texter, the way that she uses language in text, capitals or punctuation, and she also speaks at the speed of light, and her
Mm.
brain works that fast, and she's extremely clever. So then I'm out, I'm doing stuff, and then I see a text that comes back from her that says, and I'm just going to say it and she's going to beep, but Alexa, cover the pots. Alexa, cover the pots. Alexa. And then it just says, Alexa. And it's like goes across my screen and I'm crying. It's 10 o'clock at night. Now she's talking to me right now. She's saying, I don't
Right.
understand your request, but at any rate, I don't know. That all came back to heat, and in a perfect world, yeah, we try to wait as long as we can with the heat. Remember at school how it was Halloween? Was the Halloween was the
Oh,
date
right.
in
The
those
switch over.
old dorms, and
Yeah.
how frigid it would get. Like that was
Yeah.
chilly.
Nowadays, I don't mind that.
I know.
More frigid, the better at nighttime.
So I'm like that only when I sleep though. In a perfect world, I am, and my husband knows this, I am a 72-degree girl. If this house could be 72 degrees all the time, I would
Mm.
be absolutely thrilled. I mean, my feet right now are cold as ice. Of course, I don't have any socks on, but yeah.
That's a thing.
That's
That is a thing in, mid late October.
I know. I was busy.
Uh,
I put on slides and been doing stuff until I sat down to sit and talk to you. So, anyway,
you make me laugh.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So,
After all these
I
years.
know, I know, I know. You still absolutely crack me up. You really do. I think that Parker finds it real fun to know when we're recording or when we're talking or when we're doing anything because I cackle when I'm with you in a way that like it's just and it's over stupid shit. The same stupid
It,
jokes are still funny after
they
30
really
years.
are. They
That's how
really
you
are.
know you've got a keeper friend.
It's so interesting too that I make you laugh so much because there was a time in our relationship that I think you coined me as Nick put the Nick in clinical because I was so serious
It didn't
and
have anything to do with your level of seriousness. That had to do with the fact that you were getting your master's degree. And it was the perfect little play on words. It wasn't about your sense of humor, dude. Like you are always the funniest person to me in the room
oh, I
because you're
just
so
adore
clever.
you.
Because you're clever.
We make each other laugh and we make ourselves laugh and that is just such a gift.
This is true. Because sometimes it's just you and you. It's you and you.
Yes, you. Well, at least I know I can always voice text you and somebody else will laugh too.
It is true. That is true. That is true. But
So let me ask you a question.
ask me a question.
I would love to know, first of all, what's on your plate?
Literally, what's on my plate? Oh, I made this pretty on purpose. Okay, so dear listeners, because this is women around a table eating food, I have my lunch snack. We're recording this in the afternoon. This is my
Oh,
is my Weck jar, not a sponsor. Absolutely positively not opposed because I absolutely love this company. I have a Weck jar filled with my blueberry acai chia seed quick jam all down below that's super filled with all the aminos and yummy protein. This level is Kite Hill plant-based unsweetened vanilla yogurt. Not a sponsor, not opposed. And then when I tilt it, there are hemp
wow.
seeds in the middle, and then I put unroasted pepitas, and then that's a whole mess of bee pollen, which I don't ever have more than a quarter teaspoon of bee pollen at a time because that's
Hmm.
allegedly what the serving's supposed to be. That could be a tablespoon. And so while we're talking, my face could absolutely turn beet red from all
Nice.
of the B12s, but B12s.
Hee hee
Anyway,
hee.
he.
That
So
looks
yeah, isn't that
delicious. How
pretty?
pretty. Can you take a picture of that and post that? That's
I
beautiful.
abs I could. I could. I should
Yeah,
probably
I
do it
love that.
before I eat it, but yes. Although I'm using my phone. We're bare bones set up here today. I'm using my phone as the camera. So, but yes, I will take a photo and post it.
Wonderful.
What's in your awesome looking little nubby mug?
So, first of all, this mug, I love this mug so much. Can you see what it says? Can you read that?
It says, "Oh, that's so you. No mud, no lotus."
No mud, no lotus. And
Yep.
then it's got the lotus on the other side.
Oh,
And it is
nice.
a mug that's made by Wishing Star Pottery. I
Mm,
think she is out in Oregon or somewhere on the West Coast. It's one of my favorite small craft potters. And I have a few of her mugs. And Heather got me this mug for my birthday or Christmas.
mm.
And
I
it's
want to say it was Christmas
heavy.
last year.
Yeah, I think it's Christmas. And I love Thich Nhat Hanh. He is one of my favorite teachers of all time. So I feel close to him when I drink out of this mug.
Mm.
It also makes me think of the two of us because we have uttered this phrase how many times over the course of our
Dude,
relationship? No mud, no lotus.
seriously.
So many
Seriously.
times. And what is in here is just some butterfly pea flower tea
Mm,
because I was craving that. If you haven't had butterfly pea flower tea, it's earthy, but not too earthy. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous purple,
mm,
blue, indigo color, and it's supposedly wonderful for your nervous system.
mm.
So that's what I'm drinking. I had my lunch already because I was hungry because, mama gets hungry right around 12 o'clock. So she had to eat her lunch. And my lunch was a stir fry of some chicken breast and some cabbage and some spinach and roasted root vegetables and then a shit ton of spices, just
Mm.
throwing shit in a skillet. And it was
Love it.
amazing.
Sounds delicious. It sounds warming.
It was. I was thinking of, salad today again because it's not too cold out, but I'm starting to feel that change of season from a food perspective too,
Mm.
where my body is craving foods that are heated or warmed somewhat. I think that's kind of Ayurvedic in nature.
I will never forget that year, which I don't know, it feels like it wasn't last winter. It feels like it would have been the year before when you had gotten really, really run down, really feeling sick, couldn't figure out why you were as lethargic as you
Hmm.
were, and you're always high energy and operating at a higher level. And Dr. Rosenberger was asking you about what you were eating. And at the time, you were eating more raw things. I don't even think that it was winter time. And I don't even remember if it was fall. I'm sure obviously you do. But then she
It was a
told you,
colder season.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a
it
colder
was. Okay.
season. Yeah. And I was
Well,
eating a lot of salads and n- just because I love salads.
yeah.
And she said, I think your body's craving warmer foods, from a TC, traditional Chinese medicine perspective, from an Ayurvedic perspective. She asked me to just warm my foods. And
Mm,
within days, I felt better. And I just carried that with me through the years. It was such a simple, simple
mm.
fix. Yeah.
I can remember talking with her about the shift from having cold smoothie in the afternoon or in the morning, because that's so been part of my ritual over the last 20 years, to in the wintertime, just gotta figure it out. Figure out how you're gonna get the protein, figure out how you're gonna do it with something that's warm, whether it's a warm
Yeah.
sweet potato with some type of a protein over it, or warmed up vegetables, or something that's just comforting. And
Absolutely.
and sometimes I still don't want to do it, but then when I'm teeth chattering and shivering from
Yeah.
having put ice in my smoothie, I think about her. I think
Dr.
about her.
Rosenberger. She's great.
She would be a great guest.
I totally agree.
I would love that. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Yeah.
Make it
Yeah.
happen.
I'm gonna make a note of it. Absolutely. So, girl, uh, tell me if there's anything that you're looking forward to this weekend.
Oh, really? Yes, there
Oh,
is.
I want to just so that we can make a little note, Right now, just now, you sounded like you were underwater.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
I want you to tell me how you hear me. Do you hear me
Mm,
okay?
I do.
Okay. I'm wondering, I'm gonna check I'm gonna check my AirPods and make sure that that it's not just me through my ears.
Okay. How is it now?
I'm gonna take these out for a moment. Now talk for a sec.
I love you.
Oh, that's so nice. My computer thinks that it wants you to be broadcasting through my through my Yeti,
Microphone?
which that's not
Oh,
going to work. Um,
no.
but let me put these back in again and see if now let's see.
How is that? Any better?
Oh,
Hello?
I bet it's because I bet it's because select a microphone Yeti. Um, it might have to actually be. I want to see. Can you still hear me okay?
Sure can.
Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. So speak again.
Uh, hi, I love you.
I love you too. Okay. I wonder if it's my AirPods because you're coming through on the speakers on my computer and you're perfectly fine. So,
Okay. All right. We'll just cut that part out because
yep.
that's what editing is all about.
All right. I'm just gonna make sure um that we're gonna put these away so that they don't. I have a feeling that's gonna have to be the next thing that I'm gonna have to replace. Might be my AirPods.
Mm,
But okay, I think we're going to be fine because as long as you can hear me and as long as I'm broadcasting and I can hear you, then we're all set. Okay.
then we're all set.
All right. So let's go back to, um, well, first, I guess since we're going to edit this part out, do you want to talk about the fact that we're going to see each other this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go back to that. Okay. So, girl, tell me, you asked me a question. Tell me, are you looking forward to anything this weekend?
So funny you should
Oh,
ask.
tell me.
I am so looking forward to seeing you in the flesh this weekend
Right. That's right.
and giving you the biggest hug. So, this weekend, Jen and I will be in the same location at our home. Jen and Parker are coming down for a visit this weekend. My stepbrother Jimmy is coming. And so, we're having just a little gathering because we're also my community, my HOA community, we're doing a community cleanup. So you guys generously offered to come down here. And really, what the impetus for it was Jimmy's birthday back
Yes.
on October 6th. I was thinking about what kind of present could I get him, and he what's so meaningful to him are experiences and being around people that he loves and that he enjoys, and he adores you and Parker.
Hmm.
So,
Well, let's be real. He really loves Parker. He tolerates me. He tolerates me, but he really loves
no.
my husband.
He loves you both, and
I love him.
so you coming down as a present to him is an extra present for me too. So we're gonna have the weekend together, and we're gonna cook some really good food. We're going to have wonderful conversations. We're gonna paint things, and we're gonna fill potholes with asphalt and do all the things outside, and just enjoy each other's company. So that's what I am looking forward to the most.
Funny. That's what I'm looking forward to the most
No.
too. Yeah. Last night I made like a humongous vat of chicken chili and
Mm,
Parker picked it
mhm.
up because it was going to be cold enough outside last night and so he picked it up and put it outdoors because I hadn't, it was still too warm to put in the refrigerator. And he's like, "Oh my God, this is this is so heavy." I said, "Well, it's all right." I said, "This is a double batch and or more than a double batch." So made
Can you
that.
tell us what's in it? What was in it?
Yes, I can. I normally have a recipe that we have all fallen hard for here in our family. It was published by the New York Times years ago, and we call it we call it the peanut butter chili. And the peanut butter chili
Ah,
has a decent amount of very dark chocolate and also a nominal a nominal nominal amount
mm,
of peanut butter. And my youngest step kiddo Piper absolutely loves this meal, and it's been our go-to. However,
mm,
it's not for everybody, you know, and I didn't want to put peanuts in something. I wasn't certain what
mm,
allergies were going to be like. This is going to be a potluck after a long day. So this one's a little bit more traditional, and it's chicken and it has chicken sausage, and I like to load it with red peppers and orange peppers and tomatoes and tons of spices. And I actually put black soybeans in instead of black beans. That was a total
yum.
selfish choice because one bothers my stomach and one does not. And so I figured, okay, that'd be even better. And it does have for a smokiness, it doesn't have any bacon in it, but it does have some pancetta in it. So I crisped that all up and just very little fat and very little added salt
Mm.
and all the flavor. We tested it last night. It's going to be fun. And it also has it has cocoa powder in it as well, but not as much. I always add that to my and I used Anima Mundi ceremonial unsweetened cocoa powder for it because
Mm.
admittedly that's what I had. And I just thought, let's just elevate this.
Why not?
Elevate this bitch, send it up to a higher power. It's gonna be even better. So lots of vitamin C, lots of antioxidants. I'm super excited.
Would you like me to make a cashew sour cream? A non-dairy cashew sour cream? Because I can make that.
So that would be delicious. I did if you don't, it kind of depends on what you think this crowd is like because I
I
have.
mean, for us, I'm thinking about
Oh, for
for
us.
us.
Okay. So I'm not a sour cream fan anyway.
Got
So
it.
it would definitely make it if you would like. And also I bought sour cream for the group and I bought Cabot cheddar cheese to shred and and I've got some tame pickled jalapenos to put on top because this isn't,
Cool.
I don't think this is all that hot, although I did add a decent amount of chipotle to it. So anyway,
Cool.
that's my contribution. And as long as I don't fink out and lose time, which I am known for staying up too late and doing things, but I'll make East Coast Grill's cornbread. East Coast
Oh.
Grill, the famed East Coast Grill, Chris Schlesinger's famed beautiful restaurant in Cambridge from back in
Mm,
the day. That's dating me, but yes, that recipe remains my favorite of all time. So that's what I
yum.
like to make.
Oh, I
Yep.
can't wait. I
Yep.
can't wait for that.
Well, I can't
So
wait as well. And so that's what we'll
we're
be doing.
we're looking forward to the same thing this
Yes.
weekend.
We
And so when we were thinking about chatting today, we had we had come up with something that was it, it's actually became more relevant over the course of the week for me
are.
than I was just we were talking a little bit beforehand before we hit record around our professional lives and midlife and things like that. And in our first, I believe, episode, we talked about how so much of what connects us is food. And then the other piece that connects us is where we are in our life right now in this, quote unquote, messy midlife. And
Mm.
so you had written down a bunch of questions that we wanted to riff on. So I want to toss it to you to see if you'd like to
Well,
throw one out
yeah,
here.
I have my little note card right here. Boop, boop, boop. And the first piece of it really, I wanted at some point for us to talk a little bit about what drew us to our professions and why we entered what we entered the professions that we entered. And because I think that as I've gotten older and even as we have fleshed out the ideas for this podcast, I realize just how similar what we just how similar what we do is to one another. That's probably the worst sentence I've ever spoken. How similar our work is, how the through line of our work, even just coming up with all the descriptions for the various podcasty places and for YouTube about what this podcast was going to be. thinking about your being a therapist and my being a journalist, I was thinking about, oh, both of our professions, I'm such a nerd, they end in IST. And what does that mean? And what has Nick done in her work? And what have I done in mine? And this isn't your first podcast rodeo. I had the
Mm,
absolute pleasure of being able to listen to you speak as a part of the Causeway conversations that were being aired by Causeway Collaborative, where you're the chief clinical officer in Connecticut. And
mm,
so, like, I know and knew how you were off the cuff or talking about your work. And I've also listened to you from a professional perspective talk about the work that you do, for the last 30 years. And it's all about listening, it's all about being
mm,
curious, it's all about going deep, unraveling, it's all about puzzle making, making connections. It's about being of service. It's about to a certain extent, and I mean this in the kindest possible way, like having a certain level of healer of broken wings in you, that desire to want to raise people up and help them be the best that they can be. And in my work, where my work hasn't been to elicit an outcome, meaning a diagnosis or support or things like that, I tell stories and I
mm,
interview people about the work that they do, or I talk with people about their problems or about their triumphs. And again, goes back to the curiosity, the trying to make somebody feel comfortable enough so that they are willing to share with you, right?
mhm,
You can't get a client, you can't have a family feel like they can trust you with their innermost feelings unless they feel like they're comfortable enough. And even
mhm,
if I'm talking to somebody about a recipe or a book launch or about the total crashing of their business, I gotta I gotta find a way to help them feel like it's not scary to talk to me. And so I've
mhm,
loved getting older and realizing, oh my gosh, like this woman who I love to the fiber of my being, we actually, even though our ists are different, there's a lot of
mhm,
there's a lot of same there. So I wanna talk about how being in this phase of life sort of it affects how we handle this phase in life, and also professionally, are we different than we were 30 years ago? Does this
mm,
perspective and where we are is where we are, does that give us a perspective that we didn't have? And
yeah,
also, are we also still at our core the same Nick and Jen that we were when we started
yeah,
out, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, putting the Nick and
yeah.
Jen gold in
Wow.
all that?
There is a lot to
There's
chew
a
on
lot.
there. A lot to chew on. So where to start? What strikes me is your last question. Are we the same as we were 30 years ago? And I can, at the core, right? I think there are some core attributes that are the same. And who I am now as a therapist and as a human is absolutely very, very different than I
Yeah.
was 30 years ago, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
Talk
again,
to me
not,
about that because
yeah,
that
not,
fascinates me because I don't somebody somebody who isn't in a therapizing space with you probably wouldn't know that because you present so much as the same person.
well, because also I haven't been a therapist for 30 years.
Mm.
Right. So the first iteration of my professional career was not in doing doing therapy. So I was doing a lot of administrative work, project management, stuff in business.
Yeah.
So that was really what I had started with. And then what I noticed was people were coming to me just to talk and
Mhm.
to sit in my office, and they were having a bad day and they knew they could always come in and sit and chat with me, and I'd provide counsel. I think it was less counsel and more my presence and just
Mhm.
giving them the space to be whatever it is that they wanted to be. But it had nothing to do with my job. Right. So I started to notice this theme. I remember being at a fax machine in at the Executive Office of Health and Human Services. I was working on a project management
For
team.
all the listeners out there who might be too young, a fax machine used to be a machine that you would plug in a telephone number and you would slip a piece of paper into it. And at the other end of the telephone line, that piece of paper would be printed. It was like email before email.
Yeah, fax. I didn't even think about how that is
Since
so
since my
not a
step kiddos, I
thing.
think have only seen a landline once, and they looked at Parker and said, "Daddy, what's this?" They had traveled to Great Wolf Lodge, I think, up in Leominster, and so it does make me laugh on
Oh,
occasion.
that's
And I think
very
about,
funny.
I say, so anyway, yes, that's what a
So I
fax
was
machine.
at the fax machine, and I was doing administrative work, and I had this moment of like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing faxing a piece of paper when I feel like in my bones I'm here to be of service. I'm here to be helpful to people. I'm here to listen to them and to, again, be of some sort of service or guidance. And
Mm,
so at that moment, I just started to look up therapy degrees and therapy programs and counseling and psychology and social work and all of these kinds of things, and wound up applying for grad school after that and moving to Connecticut, and that's where I got my graduate degree. So I didn't get my license as a therapist until 2010. Still, that's a long time ago, 15 years ago.
hmm.
Is when I got my license as a licensed marriage and family therapist. And then after that, I got my PhD. So I say all of that because I I do I do think I am different now,
Mm,
because back in the day when I was in those more administrative roles, I had like I flew under the radar. I wasn't the person kind of in charge. I was a great team member, a great employee. And then when you move into being a therapist, you're kind of the one holding the room, right? And I
mm.
don't want to say in charge, because I like to have a slightly more flattened hierarchy in the therapy room. And at the same time, it's important for me to create the structure, to create the safety, and to have a safe container for people.
Can I interrupt you for a second? And when you just said flattened hierarchy, and I love how that sounds. What is that? What explain that for somebody who might not know what that means?
It's kind of like, so inherent in the therapeutic relationship, in the professorial relationship, teacher and student, there is a power dynamic and a
Mm,
hierarchy. Somebody is coming to me because I have some sort of expertise
mm,
to, and so there's a power differential. And so sometimes there can be that, somebody's up here, somebody's down here. And I don't like that. That's not to me
mm,
how I view it. I do view it that I have a skill set and training and a perspective and expertise to offer, but I like to think of us as collaborators when we're in
mm.
the therapy room together. However, I am responsible for creating a structure that feels stable and sturdy and safe enough for somebody to be able to do
Yeah.
all the things that they need to do in therapy, depending on what their goals are. That's very different. I was never in that type of role until I became a therapist and had my own practice, where I was having to use my voice a lot more,
Mm.
having to guide things, direct things. I mean, I did that when I was an athlete as a point guard. Um,
I
so
was just
there,
going to ask you that. Was
mm,
just going to ask you where else in your athletic background or where else in your childhood or in your friend group you started to realize that people would come to you and you were that friend or that not colleague but that uh,
mm,
co-athlete.
I think it was in sports.
Mm,
It was absolutely in sports, and it's what, Frank, my stepfather, cultivated in me. As a point guard, you are the one in charge on the court, and you may not be the best player in the world, and you may not be the largest player, tallest player, the fastest player, but you are the coach on the court, and so that was instilled in me at a very young age. And I remember my college coach, Del Malloy, at Wheaton
mm,
College, saying to me that I was his 40-year-old point guard when I was in
Mm,
college, because that's what I brought to the
that
floor
just
was
gave me
that.
goosebumps
Mm,
all up my
yeah,
legs and all up my head. I love that.
yeah. It was really sweet. So it's developed over time. And now, when I first started as a therapist, oh gosh, it's a journey, right? You
Mm,
start off, and I would imagine, well, I can say this because I've taught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of grad students to go through a graduate degree program in therapy. So I see once they get out of school, there is this period of imposter syndrome. Like
mm,
you kind of doubt yourself a little bit, or from time to time, and it's like, is am I really going to be able to do this?
mm,
I've only been out of grad school for a month. Why are people going to come to me and seek my guidance? I remember thinking of that when one of my first clients was a 70-year-old woman and I was 20 something. And I'm thinking to myself, why is she coming to me for guidance? And so I definitely had to grow in my confidence, but that's like, I think with anything,
mm.
a career or profession, I had to grow in confidence. I had to find my voice, and I'm still finding my voice. And
Did you feel that the reason or part of why you decided to go on and get your PhD was because you were so young, you looked so young? This would be a really good time for you to tell our wonderful listeners. We're talking about your being a point guard and being this basketball phenom. Tell everybody how tall you are.
I am 5'2".
That's right. That's
That's
right.
right.
She's a powerhouse. Good things come in small packages, as my mom always said, which is very exciting at Christmas time and birthdays when you see those little boxes. Be like, oh, what could that be? That's just like Nick.
Mhm. Tiny but
Um,
mighty.
Tiny but mighty. So yeah, I mean, talk about the decision to go all in to get the PhD because you didn't have to do that, right? You could have gotten your license and you could have practiced with a master's, correct?
Right, correct. Yep. I wanted to teach.
Okay.
So I was so inspired by my professors at the time, Rona Prelai and Ingeborg Haug
Mm.
at Fairfield U. Ingeborg retired several years ago, but Rona is still at Fairfield U. She's been there, I want to say, 38 to 40 years. I think she started the program. She's a master, one of the most brilliant therapeutic minds that I have ever known. And they inspired me so much because I got into that program, and the way that they explained family systems theory, it made so much sense to me, and it was how I viewed the world. And then their way of teaching was so inspiring. It made you want to eat up all of the information
Mm.
and the knowledge that they were sharing, and I wanted to do that for the next generation of students. And so the way that I was going to be able to do that was to get my PhD. If
Yeah,
you
that
wanted to be
makes
a tenure
sense.
track academic, you have to get your PhD. So that is the only reason that I went back, is so that I could teach at a university, which then I taught at Fairfield U for what, I think 12 years or so,
Mm.
something like that. Actually, yeah, about 12 or 13 years. And um, yeah, that's why I went back and, again, developed my style, my voice, was mentored by Rona, really shaped who I was under her guidance. But even through that process, I had to find my own voice
Mm.
as a teacher and as a professor, and then even more so as a therapist. And I think that at this point in my life, but in the past, I definitely have been a people pleaser and
Mm.
a good athlete and a good team member. And I'm a coach's kid. So when the coach says you do X, Y, and Z, I followed in line. And so sometimes my voice and my perspective wouldn't come out of my mouth because I was too busy trying to accommodate and please and things like that. And that is shifting completely now in these last couple years at this phase of life where I am I have no I have no room for that anymore.
Mm.
Like what you see is what you get, and I've heard so many women talk about that at this point in their life when they get to midlife, be it, 45 on or whatever we want to call midlife. I will say as I get closer to 50, like the amount of fucks I have to give now.
Mm,
are like minimal,
mm.
minimal. And my filter has come off my mouth, and what comes out of it is going to be raw and real and honest and unapologetic. It's not mean. By
No.
no, it's still kind. Well, it depends on the mood I'm in the past couple days. Luckily, it did not come out of my mouth because I still do have somewhat of a filter when my bandwidth is low. But um, yeah, there's something that happens where you become unapologetically more yourself, or at least I have.
We've heard that from our female friends who are older than us, those who are 5, 10, 15, 20
Mm.
years older. And I'm wondering, is it more of a, and this is just a wondering, but I don't hear as many dudes talking about like I hit 50 and by the time I had hit 50 I just gave fewer fucks. Like I feel like I wonder if this is because women have just carried this heaviness, this burden. We've spun all the plates, we've done the work, if we've chosen to enter a family or have kids ourselves, like why is it that it seems to be more women? And when are we gonna learn? Like, how are we gonna like? And I'll tell you, and I'll interrupt myself. My mom's 81. My mom would never have looked at me or has never uttered, I just got to a point where I didn't care anymore. Like I also think that it's inherently it's a personality thing, or maybe you hit a wall or
Hmm.
something explodes or you have a life altering situation where it changes your perspective. I get it, but man, I don't hear dudes talking about this as much.
Of course not, because we have been socialized as women to function in a particular way over the years,
Yeah.
right? Like if you just think about, when did we get the right to vote? When did we get the right to have apply for a mortgage on our own, right?
Yeah. Your own
So
credit card. Yeah.
and so we have also been socialized to be quiet, to take up less space, be smaller in the size of your body and your voice. And if you do happen to have a louder voice over the years, you are deemed a bitch, or you're deemed, like you're unraveling or what have you. So I think
You're
it's
too
embedded.
emotional.
Right. You're like, it's embedded in the social
Yeah.
structure, it's embedded in the patriarchy. Uh, like, of course, guys don't think about that because they're in, and this is no offense. We love men.
Mm-hmm.
We love a lot of men in our lives. But when we're looking kind of across the social structure, it makes sense that women are experiencing this transformation at this midlife stage more so than men, because men have always had the privilege of
Mm.
being able to say the things that they want to say without ramification, or without it being interpreted as something other than whatever it is they're saying,
Yeah, totally.
you know? Do you find that you found more of your voice at this phase of your life from a personal and from a professional perspective? Like, has that shifted for
Mm.
you?
I think for me, it's more work in my personal life than in my professional life. I think that
Mm.
as a writer, I have moments where I look back at things that I wrote in middle school or high school or college or at the beginning of my career that, of course, are cringy. And I think, oh, I used too many words here, or oh, it's a little bit more of a writing style that I think has morphed and changed. You always get the advice, the more writers should always read because, you're being influenced by other things that you're seeing or catching phrases or language, words, like whatever it is, you're borrowing things, you're tweaking and whatnot. So I don't know that I have found my voice or my voice has changed And from an emotional perspective, work wise, I feel like I'm better at what I do. I feel like I'm,
Hmm.
and maybe as I'm talking through this, maybe I'm more direct. I'm more direct in my writing, or I understand more to. I've always understood the whole know thy audience, right? There are things that I
Hmm.
might like to write, but if my client or if my article is not going to be served by Jen's voice, it's going to be served by a different voice. It's sort of having the lack of ego to let go of that and to
Hmm.
go with what is going to be best for the thing that you're working on at that moment. I don't
Hmm.
feel like I'm more confident necessarily today as a writer than I was. So I feel like professionally, it's been a little bit more status quo. Emotionally, in life, within relationship, within marriage, being an adult child, being an adult sister to someone with extraordinary developmental delays. Or maybe I haven't. um, I think that learning how to learning how to say no a little bit more, like that's
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not, I would love to present that I'm as evolved as you are in this moment. And I say that, and I'm not saying this to blow sunshine up your ass, but when I look at the journey that you have taken and I think about how much you try to be over and honest and out there. I think that I still spend so much of my fucking time wordsmithing things before I open my mouth. And I'm so carefully trying to make sure that I am not ruffling feathers or things like that. I'm not there yet. It's a work in
Hmm.
progress. It's totally
Yeah.
a work in progress.
Well, and that what you're speaking to there too is what I was saying before is around that like that people pleasing part of
Oh,
us,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a signature theme I've heard from a lot of women our age that comes up around, excuse me, around this time is how do we shed that people pleaser part and
Yeah.
still be the essence of who we are? We can still be the soft and beautiful and loving and kind women that we are, and also take no fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a both and. And I think sometimes we think about these types of things as either ors, that we're either this or
Mm,
we're that. And it really can be the embodiment of the both and. And I think during this phase of our life, and again, I don't want it to be like this is a universal experience for all women, but so many women that I've seen either clinically or our friendship group is these types of signature themes seem to rise to the surface
mm.
during this midlife time.
I lo- While you were talking, I was thinking about thinking about how that applies to when you were talking about the people pleasing thing, which is so real for me. I was thinking about how that played into my work because I do think that
Mhm.
I don't want you to think that like I was a good writer 30 years ago and damn it like I'm still of course like we all improve. But from going back to the that's a little bit more mechanical, I guess. Going back to the
Mhm.
emotional in 2020 in 2022, so I had and you know this obviously as you love me, like I'd had my own consultancy for a super long time. I try to create brands for people. I work on their mission statements and their website copy or any place where they need it as a human or any place where their brand would need storytelling. I would be hired to work on projects like that. I started my consultancy at a time when I was starting to realize that newspapers and magazines were just absolutely splicing their staffs. And I was concerned that if I didn't really advocate for myself and create some agency over like what's my future going to be like, I better go out there and start, creating some clients or just kind of create a different way to earn money and be able to do the work that I did. So I'm still a freelance writer. I would write for almost anybody if the topic and the fit felt like it was good. But I'd had my own one girl shop for a really long time. And then in 2022, I took a job at an agency because after 20 something years of just being my own boss, which from having your own practice, you're doing your own finances and you are your own IT person, you are your own marketing person. Like it is just a lot of work to self-direct all the time. And I was starting to think, oh, maybe I'm getting a little tired of this. Maybe it might be nice to have a more structured 9 to 5 job ish in that kind of way. And this was during the pandemic and everyone was working from home. And I had already worked from home for the vast majority of my career, whether I was living in Boston or Las Vegas or Providence or with my parents, with you. I was doing my own thing. And I remember taking knowing that I was going to get this job with the agency and being brought in as a creative director of content. And I remembered taking a real leap of faith during the interview process, telling this amazing woman who I knew I was going to end up working with, admitting to her that I had worked for a really long time for myself, by myself. And I was to her, I was totally honest and vulnerable. And I repeated something that I had awakened one day. And I had said to Parker, I don't want to lose myself just because I'm going to go and work for another company. I have my clients because they trust me. And for a long time, I had felt like being sensitive and being thoughtful and being a little on the softer side and still crass and loving my fuckity fuck words and all of that and peppering them all in and whatnot. But I know how I work and I know how I operate and I know what my heart is like and I know what my head is like and I know how I am as a human. And for a long time, I felt like being sensitive was a bad thing. Like, oh, you should kind of maybe hide that a little bit. And then it became abundantly clear that I was being hired by people who wanted the intimacy of working with a writer who was going to be able to draw, going back full circle to what we were talking about earlier, how you have
Mm-hmm.
to make people feel comfortable. And would have to make people feel comfortable to tell me their story if I was writing for a South End News in Boston, if I needed
Mm-hmm.
to get people to a point where they would share with me. But I then all of a sudden something happened. It was like I get this work because people like working with me. I get this work because they trust me. And oh my gosh, I don't want to take a job where that's going to be beaten out of me. And I remember saying to
Mm-hmm.
Parker, just I don't want to lose that part. And I shared that with the woman who was interviewing me. And she embraced it and she made me feel good about it, and I was hired to direct this little content team that had never had a director before. And I knew, and unfortunately I was only there for 2 years. Finances change and clients cut back and they did not have a need for my position anymore. But man, the 2 years that I was there, I didn't actually write as much as I went in and I used my personality, this thing that I
Mm-hmm.
was concerned about, my superpower, to make these other writers feel like they had a voice. They could come and bitch, piss, and moan about bad grammar or yucky clients or writing banner ads that were boring or talk about something that was complicated. Like, I'd been a managing editor for a variety of publications, all remote, and it was all about creating a cohesive team where
Mm-hmm.
there was no cohesion. You have, freelance writers all over the place, but and I was doing this there at that company at my position that I had started in 2022. And I think that even though I was absolutely crushed to lose that job, I was crushed. It's 2025 and it has been a fucking rough 2 years in so many ways. This podcast isn't long enough to hold space for all of that bullshit right now. However, and you know it because you witnessed so much of it. But that job gave me the sensation in my bones that I didn't only have to have my own shingle hung out on the side of my house
Mm.
to know that I could lean into my sensitivity. I could lean into my meanness. I could be vulnerable and I could be, a strict grammarian or whatever the case was. There were companies out there that liked my flavor of work. And so I guess that is how I came into my own more. It was by recognizing that being sensitive and being soft, it can be a both and I think that that's what this world, this life, this messy midlife shows
Mm.
you all the time, that those of us who are able to balance that seesaw, like that's how we're going to make it. It's not all in
Mm.
this direction. It's not all in this direction. We got to find the happy medium. And I can do it with my work. I need to do a better job of it in my personal life.
Mm.
Baby's grown up.
My baby's grown up. No, that's a beautiful articulation of the just the professional shift for you because that is a massive professional shift. It's not about necessarily you becoming a better writer, which I'm sure you did. You had to have become
Absolutely.
a better writer, like you
Absolutely.
said. But it's more about like how you showed up as yourself in your profession. That
Mhm.
was different than when you were in your 20s or when you're in your 30s. There was this I don't, it's not even confidence, but this willingness to try on that vulnerability, to try it on and see how it goes.
Yeah.
When in the past it would have been like, no, thank you, not going to do that
Yep.
yet. But now it's like, okay, you start to also look at, we've got how many more, not to be morbid, how many more years left to live on this planet? And so why not start truly living from this, authentic self? And,
Yes.
sometimes I don't, that sounds a little bit cliche. I think that's a journey and that's a process. And what that looks like for people is different and it happens at different points in people's lives. So,
Totally.
but I've watched you like that. You in that position too, getting to be, you are almost describing like a therapist role in
Hmm. Hmm.
your
Yeah.
job as a content, manager, creator. You were playing, you were functioning as a therapist
Very
in a lot
much
of
so.
ways.
Very much so. Honestly, I thought about you so often during my little monthly meetings. I would create
Mm.
what were we going to talk about, making sure everybody knew it was a safe space. The monthly airing of grievances, and just so that everybody could just have a place to just bring all of their nerdy wordsmithy thoughts all together and complain about the same thing and talk the same language, quite literally. It was a wonderful it was a really wonderful thing. And knowing that you could put the cloak of vulnerability on and have it be a good thing and not a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And just still be
Yeah.
taken seriously and all of that. So yeah, the challenge and your point is apropos, how long do we have and why would we be wasting time? It's not about not being kind, because around here in this
Mhm.
house, what do we say all the time? You can say anything to anybody as long as you say it nicely. And
Mm.
and that's important with tweens and teens, to be able to make sure that we understand the importance of language and tone and
Mhm.
being honest and making space for big feelings and small feelings and boundaries and all that stuff. And all of that has its own
Yeah.
flavor of challenge, but
That's even, I think that's even that's up for debate. The nice, you, as long as it's said nicely. I don't know that I necessarily
talk to me
agree
about
with that.
that, girl.
Agree with
Challenge
that.
me. Challenge me.
Because, well, I guess I think of nice and kind as different things. Niceties like seem like a way to sugarcoat something that's
Okay.
um and so that's what I have I'm having that visceral
Maybe
reaction to.
okay. So I'm loving that. I'm love Alexis Rose. I'm loving that for me. I'm loving
Yeah.
that because maybe it needs to be kindly, or maybe it needs to be, and it's not a it's never from a place of placating. It's
Right.
sort of from a place of, they teach in school the idea of the compliment sandwich, right? Or
Yeah.
you're gonna start with something that's good and then sneak in the thing that's troubling and then finish with something that's also positive. But, we try not to have anybody lead around here with, "Hey, asshole,
But,
can you please, just like, but yeah, I
but
think,
why not? Just
well,
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
dude, I'm not
No.
saying that that doesn't run across my mind the 50,000 times I see, a glass left out, or I can see my mother always used to say, God bless my dad, that when daddy made a sandwich, she could see exactly where he was all across the kitchen. It'd be a trail of salt and it'd be a smear of this or whatever, whatever. But yeah, there
Yeah.
are moments when you want to, hey, I've learned from you. This is another total topic of conversation at some
Mm.
point, and you and I have talked about this, and I feel like I have talked about this with several of my female friends. Why why do I have to get upset
Mm.
for there to be change? Why do I talk about carrot people and stick people all the fucking time? Like you realize when you are raising littles, young people, who's going to do the thing because they feel like they're going to be rewarded and who's going to do it because they feel like they're going to be punished. Well, that doesn't end in childhood. I think that there are plenty of grown-ups who are like that as well. But why does it have to be? And then it makes me feel very, I mean, it's a global question, but of course it's stemming from something that's totally personal. But why do I have to get upset for the thing to happen? Why can't it just be because I've asked once or twice even, but certainly three, four, or ever? Or why do I have to seemingly pitch a hissy fit for something to change? You know, uh,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a big
And
one.
that depend. Yeah, that's that depends on the age of the person, right?
Sure,
Teenagedom. Um, but I know that is something that you and I have talked quite a bit about is that why does it require somebody to get upset for their voice to be heard?
sure.
And and that is, I think, part of why I have leaned in so much to just being even more and more direct and transparent in the way that
Mhm.
I communicate is because then I don't reach that point
Yeah.
as often because I'm just saying the thing and I'm not I'm don't get me wrong. I am incredibly thoughtful in how I deliver things. I can read a room. It's important to me that the messages that I deliver are kind. So, like, just to go back to that point, I'm totally joking when I say like things shouldn't. I'm not talking about things not being delivered kindly and thoughtfully and things like that. What I'm talking about is just the nuances of we're human, and sometimes we're not gonna say something that's nice.
I
And
couldn't agree more.
it's also about then how do we repair that? How do we talk about it? How do we navigate through that in a way where we can own as adults?
Hmm.
We can own, you know what? That wasn't okay. The
Hmm.
way that I said it, this is what was going on for me, and this is what I wanted to say. So there's a difference. I want to make sure people don't think
No,
I'm
no. And
so
if and for
horrible.
anybody who's not watching this on YouTube, like I'm sitting here like nodding my head up and down, up and down. Yes, like I completely agree with you. Lisa talked about it on our last one episode ago, two episodes ago, when she was talking about the totally evolved conversation that she and her husband had had, and how
Yes.
the evidence of the therapeutic environment between the two of them was clearly, doing its job because
Yeah.
they had had a difference of opinion about something, and they addressed it many hours later, and just the whole and how proud they both were of
Yeah.
how they handled it. And so, yes, like it is very much we need to be able to learn how to say the thing. So much of it is making people around us not be afraid to come to us too,
Yeah.
right? And making sure that we're the type of person that they feel like they can go to, or they can just that other people can be their authentic self. I mean, I
Hmm.
when Parker and I have talked about this in past, like the two of us, especially with his being a biological parent, my not being a biological parent, he's going to make decisions. I'm going to make decisions. He's going to look at some of the things that I'm thinking or saying and he's going to have a reaction. I'm going to do the same thing. And we both know intrinsically that we don't both have to be on the same page all the time. We do
Yeah.
not have to like what the other person does all the time. And
Right.
what if you love somebody and there's mutual respect, it kind of goes back to Mel Robbins' Let Them, right? Like
Hmm.
how much of it is just understanding that. And I'll go back to what Gina Benevento during one of your Causeway conversations through Causeway Collaborative that resonated with me, that I think about it all the time, all the time. I don't need to be right. I just want us to get it right.
Mm, mm.
I'm not looking to be right. I just
Yeah,
want us to get it right. And man,
that's
tell
beautiful.
me that is not applicable to all things. I
Yeah.
have used that in conversations with my 81-year-old mother as we're thinking about next steps and life changes and whatnot, or
Hmm.
having a conversation with my step kiddos or Parker, or it could be about when you're editing a sentence. Whose whose
Hmm.
whose way is better? Whose language is better? But I'm not better. I don't want to be right. I want us to get it right.
Yeah.
That's gold. I love
Yeah.
that.
I think we also, when we're thinking about, I'm going back to this, what we say to people and how we can deliver things with thoughtfulness and kindness. And we also have to remember that we don't have a lot of control on how it's received.
Yeah.
So we can absolutely, I think, be honest and transparent and kind and thoughtful and empathic in our delivery of messages in whatever context we're in, business, personal, what have you. And then we can't negate the other person, the receiver of the message, and what is happening for them, and whether or not they receive it as kind or whether they hear something else. And if they do, how much of that is our responsibility, partial, and how much of it is the receiver's responsibility because it's bringing up some part of them that starts to run the show.
Mm.
So I think
Mhm.
it also is, this is why I went into, and going full circle, kind of why I went into the field of family therapy, because it's based in family systems theory, is that it's a relational dynamic, right? Those things are relational, that one doesn't happen without the other.
Sure.
So we cannot kind of take out of the picture the receiver of our words. So,
Mm. Let's just let that
mm,
marinate for a minute or a few seconds. Gosh, a minute in podcast time would probably be
would
way
be a
too
long
long. But
time.
yeah, that
But
is
just also
beautiful.
in the vein of what we're talking about around, our filters and our voices and things like that. Can you read what my shirt says?
I see. Thou shalt not try me. Does it say anything else below it?
Mood 24/7.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's super cute.
So it looks like a psalm.
Oh, got it.
And
Thou shalt
so
not try me.
that,
I
not
like
try me,
that.
mood. Yeah, you're welcome. So
That's
that
great.
that encapsulate Heather got that for me for my birthday. And sometimes I wear it during weeks where I'm feeling a little challenged. And so the
Hmm.
past few days have been a little bit challenging. And so I felt like I need a little thou shalt not try me.
I love it. I love it. No, that's it. That's
Can
it.
I just transition us quickly to something that also comes up when we talk about this at midlife and our work and our
Please.
profession? The other thing that I've come to notice over the past, I don't know, year or so, being in an executive role in an organization, having a private practice and things like that, and going through perimenopause, is just kind of the institutional structures around how we can better serve women in
Hmm.
organizationally. at this
Oh,
phase of
you
life.
brought that we talked about that last week, and that was actually on my that's on my yes, 1,000%. Our organization's dropping the ball, not thinking about perimenopause leave or
Right.
yeah,
And
1,000.
so, I mean, I'm so grateful to work where I work, and Vince and Gina being so wonderful and accommodating and understanding around, everybody's phase of life. So this is not in reference to them, but just thinking more globally,
Mm,
organizationally for places. If I didn't work where I worked, I think I would have had a much harder time because when I started to experience the what Dr. Mary Claire Haver calls the zone of chaos
mm,
with my hormones, like it was hard to go to work.
mm,
It was hard to show up and to do the things I needed to do and to be around all of the people at work all of the time, um, to get myself in a grounded enough place to be with my clients.
mm,
It was really some of the most challenging times of my professional career because I knew what was happening because I had been doing a lot of research on it. I didn't know the extent of how it was going to impact me. And it was really, really hard. Like I could have used, and I could have taken it, and I didn't. So that's a topic for another conversation. I could have used a leave. Like I could have
yeah.
used a good few weeks to myself to recalibrate. And like I said, I could have done that and I didn't. And I think we have to have those types of structures in place for women in organizations because it's real.
Can
Like
you
it
talk a little
is.
bit about how you were, if and to the extent that you're comfortable,
Mm.
like what symptoms or what made it so hard? What made you worry that you weren't going to be able to show up and you wouldn't be able to handle? How were you really feeling?
So you know me to be just like nothing ruffles my feathers. Like
Unflappable.
I am just calm, cool. I have a happy heart. The
Right.
Vedic astrologer that I saw one time said I was born with a happy heart, and that is a rare thing. It's just you were
Mm,
born with it. It didn't evolve. You were born with, and I truly feel that for myself. Like
mm,
I function in this world from that space of gratitude and a happy heart. And my bandwidth, my emotional bandwidth to deal with difficult situations, difficult conversations, other people's moods, things like that is very vast. And I started to feel like my emotional bandwidth was, I'm holding my hands up like a yardstick right now.
mhm,
Uh, and it just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller till it was like about an inch big. Like
mm,
literally, somebody would breathe funny in the corner and the hair on the back of my neck would stand up. And I'm like, I am going to jump out the fucking window.
mm,
Like things that would never normally bother me felt like I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs,
mm.
um, and
That's so not
or
you.
punch the wall and or just be like, all right, I'm out. I'm done. Can't do it today. Gotta go. And nobody knew it, right? Nobody at work knew it. Nobody could tell because I show up and I put my best self forward, but internally I was rageful inside. The littlest things bothered me. The hot flashes, like though, like in the middle of a session with a client, and like will get like a hot flash, and I'm like sweating. And just like, okay, so how do you explain that to somebody? And they're looking at you like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. Now if I have one, I'm just like, yep, just having a hot flash. I don't give a shit anymore. So it was the emotional bandwidth part that was the hardest for me because I was so not used to it. And I think perimenopausal leave should be a thing, just like paternity leave, maternity leave, family medical leave, things
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
That should be a thing because it really, and every woman experiences it differently. So, there are some races who experience more symptomology than others, and because of also layers of oppression. So I just think there's so much that we can do there for women that I started to do a little bit of research. There has been some stuff done, but I need to delve a little bit more deeply into the literature on it. But yeah, it wasn't pretty. And then when I started to have a sense of humor about it, I would bring one of my male colleagues in my office, and there was this meme of Melissa McCarthy from one of her movies, and she's raging on something. And so I would say, so I'm just gonna, and it said something about perimenopause, and so I just showed him the meme. I said, "This is where I'm at today. Just need, just need you to know." And he's like, "Got it, boss. I'm gonna close your door. You let me know what you need."
That's awesome.
So,
Because you
yeah. So I
also
am.
work predominantly with all men at
Yes.
Causeway.
I
Yes.
do. I work with all men except for the family therapy team, who are women, which is just me, Heather, and Beatrice, and Samantha up in West Hartford.
Mm.
So yeah, so yeah, it was. I think that's a conversation I would like to see more people having in the corporate world.
Mm. Maybe you can affect some change there someplace at
Maybe,
some point
maybe,
in time.
maybe I can.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Do you is this a good time to maybe also talk about how we talk about how does this phase in life affect this phase in life, and thinking about professionally. You have been a therapist for a long time. You, throughout this process of perimenopause, have had your interests shift, and you have had your eyes open in terms of how
Mm,
you want to perhaps serve other women who are going through their own processes. Of course, this certainly
mm,
was also happening at the time or during a time when you were on an incredible health journey yourself with changing the ways in which that you were exercising, and you had been a long time runner and training for marathons and competing in marathons, and uh, turning more toward real functional athleticism and longevity and all the many things that you and Lisa were talking about when you had
mm.
on the great Lisa Maximus. How are you feeling about what work looks like for you moving forward? And do you want to
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit? Because
I
you're
don't.
making some changes.
Yeah, I don't know what. I honestly, I don't. I know what it's going to look like, but I don't know what it's going to look like
Mm,
because it is such a transition point on a lot of different professional levels. So what I know, what I know, kind of 30,000 foot view is that I know I want to work with women in our age range from a more holistic perspective, be it body, be it their mind, be it their spirit, be it their soul, be it their psychological, well-being,
mm,
and really bringing in all aspects of health and wellness, but really, really geared towards women in midlife because it
mm,
is such a powerful time, I think, for women. I think when you hit 40 and then you hit 50, what I've noticed is that we do this like almost retrospective of who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be with? uh,
yeah.
who do I want to spend my time with? So it really is a time of a lot of self-reflection and then a
Mm,
time of possibility that I want to work with women in this phase of life for them to be able to move through this transition in, I'm not even going to say the healthiest way possible, but to move through it in a way where they come home to themselves,
mm,
whatever that may be. So I can't give you specifically exactly what that looks like yet because I don't know. I know it will include how do we create a strong body, a physical body? Like what does strength actually, thank you, Lisa. What does strength actually mean? So redefining what that means for a woman in our midlife. What is having a healthy mind or a healthy psychological framework mean at this point? How do you embody those things? So it's going to be a lot of different elements. I don't have it totally packaged. That's what I have you for.
Mm, I'll do it. I'll be your muse. We'll come up
Hmm.
with all the words. People will
Yeah.
flock to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you, does this point in your professional and or personal life, this messy midlife, does it change what you envision for yourself from a work
Mm,
perspective?
well, that's loaded because after I lost my agency job from, wanting to make that jump for not from working for myself by myself to then wanting to have a more structured W-2 style job, I'm now back to doing what I had done for such a long time. And, it feels different this time, I guess. I have a small cadre of clients, and I'm working with another agency in Connecticut where I get to contribute my wordsmithing to for clients who get all of their digital work from my wonderful business partner. And so there's my job that I had, I guess, opened my eyes to seeing that there are more opportunities for collaboration if I just put myself out there and I think about it in that way. I could be
Mm-hmm.
the writer at other people's agencies. I could find other people if I had a client that needed two different kinds of things and I could only supply 50%. I've got people in my network now that I didn't used to have before who could I could sign that person and I could do for them what I would like to do, and then I could supplement. So I think the way I look at what I can do has changed a little bit. I don't feel quite so alone and like everything is on
Mm-hmm.
me. I feel like there is a little bit more of a collaboration. There's more community that's available to me.
Mm-hmm.
I I am still part owner of a business, of a restaurant that's outside of
Mm-hmm.
Boston, and there we small businesses ebb and flow, and they succeed and fail, and things were tough for a long time, and I have gone through a period of time from a financial perspective where I did not think that I would be here at 50. I had plans to be much more secure and have much more of my savings and have a lot more access to things that would allow for more freedom, more fun, things like that. I've had to adjust what my expectations are about what success looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes success is simply waking up in the morning and practicing that gratitude and having the happy heart. And if you weren't born with a happy heart, like you, beautiful you were, I don't know if I was or not. I would love to think that I was, but hearing how rare it is, one one can only hope. Uh, I think that sometimes it's just learning that you have to actually happiness is an inside job, and sometimes just being happy and getting through the day is what is the win.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's success. So I am still in a rebuilding phase. I think maybe when you own your own business, you're always building. I sort of
Mm-hmm.
feel like because I am responsible for finding my own clients and
Yeah.
wooing them and helping them want to work with me and build beautiful things and create beautiful things, that's an that's an everlasting process of just
Mm-hmm.
all never really resting on your laurels and always trying to find the work. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. I wish, in a winsome moment, I wish that things had I wish that my risk, that my chance had turned out better. But I also
Mm-hmm.
like to think that I'm 50 and I've got a lot of fucking time to rebuild and grow. And it's really leaning into the both and of things and realizing that when something goes wrong, you still have to find the beauty and you still
Mm-hmm.
have to make time for the fun and the happy and all of that. It can't just be you're just going to live in austerity measures, or you're going to be in a place of, I don't know, lack mindset. I hate that idea.
Mm,
I just have to be in a growth mindset, wealth mindset, and that kind of that's where I am right now. And also
mm,
realizing that if I wanted to write and I wanted to be Mike Wallace, which I always said, I'm going to be like Mike Wallace. I have no reason to stop working whatsoever. As long as there's voice recognition software out there, even if I had rheumatoid arthritis and I couldn't type another word, if my brain's going, I have no intention of stopping. I really don't. So,
mm. That's so fascinating because I would retire tomorrow.
oh, dude, like I love the idea of it. Believe me. Like if I could be a lady who lunched and just volunteer my time and just
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'd probably
Oh,
be a
okay.
dog
All right.
walker. Like yes, I would. But the reality is I love what I
Right.
do. I love
Yes.
creating. And also if that has to be what I have to
Yeah.
do for a certain period of time that has no end that I'm not certain about, like I'll be ready to do it. So
Yeah.
it's
No.
a lot of both and it's a lot of, you want to talk about messy midlife, like there is mess, but you gotta find the joy too. Gotta find the
Can I
joy.
tell you what the joy is right now for me?
Tell me.
I'm going to move my camera down a little, see if you can see what is on my lap.
Oh, I bet that little girl's gonna be trying to come into my bedroom this weekend. I'll hear
So,
scritchy
for
scratch on the door.
those who
Mm.
are not on the YouTube and only listening, my little girl, my kitty cat Shakti, is on my lap right now, and she's a little fluff ball love bunny, and she just climbed up to get herself cozy.
It's just the loveliest thing.
Yes,
Loveliest. If
it's
I moved my camera, you would see Scouty, my one of our two Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, who is sleeping the way that Eli used to, who was our beautiful older spaniel. And he's sleeping like in the Eli position,
oh,
all
stop.
splayed out like this. And he is just resting, probably knowing that I'm talking, and that allegedly in 9 minutes he's gonna get the first half of his DINNER, and he's just patiently waiting. And his sister is already in the other room, knowing that
Of
at 2
course.
p.m., man, that's what happens. Yeah, where would we be without our animals? Man, oh man.
Mm. She
I
is
would not.
definitely an emotional support animal. She
Oh,
just
that cat.
knows when she needs to like lay on people, where she needs to lay on them. She
Yeah,
is just, and so does Collie. Our other cat, Collie, knows it too. Shakti's just a little bit more social.
that cat loves you.
Yeah. Well, she'll be in your lap later.
Sure will. And she's such a fluff ball too. She's got this little tiny body and she's all fur.
She is.
All fur.
All right, girls. So shall we
Close
make it a
it out.
wrap for today and peace out?
Close it out. Close it out. Do you have any closing questions? Do you have any
Hmm.
interesting thing? Any funny question? Any funny thing?
Oh, goodness me. Let's see. Do I have a funny? I would like to know from you. No.
I have one
I-
if you want me to go
Go,
first.
go, go, you
So
go.
knowing that we're gonna go and be do it to it fixiters this weekend, and you and I
Yes.
do pride ourselves on trying to be handy, and we
Mm.
do like doing home improvementy things and such. What is if you had an extra 5 grand, what's the most brokeniest thing in your house right now that's pissing you off that it would be the very first thing that you would fix if you just had expendable cash that you could throw at it?
Can it be multiple things
Yes.
that add up to
Hashtag home
5 grand?
ownership. Yeah, whatever it is. The thing that's pissing you off the most that you're like, I can't wait until we get this fixed.
Well,
And it can be multiple things.
we just fixed our slider, so that was great. That was really bothering
Thank
me.
God,
Our
because
slider.
honestly, that was
Yeah.
going to be a fucking deal breaker this weekend. If
Yeah.
that was not fixed by the time I got
Yeah.
there.
So there's nothing that needs to be fixed that anybody who's coming this weekend can fix.
Oh, all right.
So, like
Man.
I want a brand new round dining table that seats more than four people.
Yeah.
Right. So, so I don't have to sit on a stool this weekend, which I will sit on a stool. I want a banquette in the kitchen. So
Mm,
you can eat in the kitchen while I cook because I
I
love to
love
cook.
that.
I want to, and these are all things that can get done in due time. I want to paint the living room.
Mm.
I
You
want
painted
to
the dining room, that beautiful blue that you're sitting in front of. You did that.
correct.
I love that. You did a great job.
Yeah.
You're very handy.
There, I got a power wash. I need to power wash the back of the house. That's something.
We
But
could
I need,
totally do that tomorrow, FY. I mean, we're going to be too busy, but we could
yeah,
go down to the
yeah.
Po and we could rent a little machine and we could power.
Nellie's got one.
Jesus. Oh,
My
really?
Nelson has one. I call him Nellie. You'll meet Nelson. He's great.
Fabulous.
So yeah, so they're just a bunch of different things. There are a bunch of so that would all the things I want to do, I think would add up to 5 grand.
Okay. All right. I like that. Some nice touches and some legitimate things that need to be done, but things that would help foster more conversation and community in
Yes.
your home, more comfort.
Yes.
Love it.
And what I would like to ask you, if there was one thing, naughty thing that
Whoa.
you would want that you would want this weekend, whether it's food, whether it's experience, whether it's a show, what's one like naughty thing that you would like this weekend that is
Oh.
not going to make you have horrendous gas?
Oh, all right. Well, that just like totally. Oh, you know what? And then of course I go to food because we're going to be going into the city in November, and so I know that that's going to happen. And so this one thing that I would have to do with that without you, but I would ask my husband that no matter what time we were either leaving on Sunday or what time we were getting there on Friday, I would want to stop at Pepe's and get a small pepperoni pizza and just eat it in the car while we were just riding. Like just be messy and gooey and just gluttonous because I have such a memory of going to Pepe's Pizza for the first time with Frank, your stepdad, and how much he loved that pizza. And I had it with him and oh, and I am such a slut for pizza. And I mean, I love to make it and I love having pizza parties, and you know that. But yeah, I would do it would be car pizza at any time that
Oh,
we get there. Like even if we
I
were
love
a
that.
little late on tomorrow, just drive down, go and get it.
I love
Because the
that.
number of times I leave your house and think, and I'll drive right by the exit, let's say, or if I'm going in that way, and I will try to figure out whether or not and I just seem to miss it all the time, time wise or what have you. But yeah, I would have no shame, I think. You know, you
Okay.
eat well, you know, you eat so well, so well, so well for such a long time, and then you just know that you're just gonna fall off the wagon, and it would be it would be
It
with
would be a
that.
pizza. I
Yep,
love it.
pepperoni.
Cool.
Yep.
I love it.
All
Well,
right.
I can't wait to hug you tomorrow,
Can't wait to
and
hug
I
you.
hope you have the most ease-filled ride down here with no traffic.
Thank you.
And thanks for the convo.
I love you. Thank you for making me think about things differently because I swear to God, I'm gonna
Mm.
hang up like we're on the phone, but I will. I'm gonna click leave. We're gonna stop this recording or whatever we say
Yeah.
when we're off of Zoom. And I think one of the things that I absolutely treasure about you are all of the golden nuggets that you have left me with over the years. And you say something, there's never a time that I leave a conversation where I am not either laughing or I am
Mm.
in deep thought about something that you've shined a light on. And I love that about you. And I hope that anybody out there who's listening has a you in their life that they can
Mm.
know that that is just going to be a given from conversations. And it's nothing to strive
Girl,
for, but it just happens.
no, it
And
does, and it's such a beautiful reciprocal gift because I get to just take you in because the way that you speak about things It is storytelling to me. Like I
Mm,
get to listen to a
thank you.
story when you speak in a way that other people don't speak. And so
Mm,
it's such a gift just to be able to hear your stories.
thank you. We'll just edit out when I get long in the tooth. You'll fix it because sometimes I get rambly. So just fucking
No.
fix that shit.
Oh,
Post.
I adore you.
I love you. I'll see you
I'll talk
tomorrow.
to
Thank you for
you. Oh
this.
yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, baby. Bye.